can you tell me a little bit more about the dynamic leader tutelage and, where did it start? What was the need that you saw in the environment that you thought actually this is going to answer that?
Oh my gosh, there's so much in that question, Fran. It's like the Dynamic Leaders Tutelage was the first program that I designed and launched when I left my corporate job back in 2015. And it was really born out of my own experience of I didn't do leadership very well in the beginning. I was really focused on the task, not really focused on the people. And then I was really focused on the people, not focused on the task. So it was this like pendulum swing. And so the program was designed and still operates to help leaders to go, what are my priorities? Where do I need to be paying attention? And appreciate that you can't trade off task for people or people for task. So it's like, how do I keep those two things together equally important? And what are the skills that I need to design in order to do that and still be effective and still be efficient?
So that balance is really important, isn't it? I think, there's a lot of people that are great at one thing, but as you say, can actually forget the importance of either bringing people along or, if they then go that other end and it's all about the people, the business just, absolutely flounders.
Yeah.
Because suddenly it's this environment that's, over catering almost. How do you see people almost transition as they go through that program
Mm.
to better understand that whole need that says actually there's a whole job here and it incorporates both of those aspects, equally importantly, but there's going to be times where some of them are amped versus the other, and you need to actually learn the skill of recognizing that within the environment. What
Yeah.
do you see as they work through it? Is there kind of, I don't know, is there an aha moment where they sort of go, oh my God, I now get it? And what are those things that you see them then actually struggle with in
Mm.
recognizing where they need to balance better?
I think the biggest thing is creating a little bit of space for them to actually pay attention and be present. Because I think once people are present and they're sitting with it and going, oh, actually, yeah, I see how this is a problem now that I've stopped and slowed down. So the first, in the first module, we talk about, time and we talk about communication. So, if I can help you to identify a bit of space in your calendar, then I know when you come and have these conversations, when you come to this program, you're going to actually be fully present and that you get to make the choice to engage. And so finding the time is the first part. And then the second is communication. So it's appreciating that how I like things isn't the way that other people like things. And that if I want someone to deliver on something, I need to meet them where they're at. So those two things, as well as we do a bit of a conversation around mindset and how am I showing up, and that awareness helps to then create the foundations or the building blocks for which they can go, okay, I can see how people fit in here. I can see how tasks fit in here. I can see how I can build capability and grow my people from this base.
Interesting when you talk about finding time. And I think if I think about this program of yours, I see it as that, a real cornerstone for people transitioning into leadership roles. And as you say, it doesn't come with a book. It doesn't come with, as much as we think there's great corporate training out there, it doesn't actually come with stuff that really kind of readies you for that transition. And it's a big step, it's a big change, right? And I think for me, I see people struggle with finding time because I'm with you. I think it's the most important thing. You need to actually time block strategic thinking. You need to time block a space where you actually sit there and think, actually, what am I doing? Why am I doing it, etc. But I think it comes from, almost this conditioned environment where people are just, what am I doing? What am I doing? Right, I'm on to the next task. It's very task focused before you step into what are those key leadership roles.
Mm.
And quite often you're doing the tasks of your leader. So you're constantly saying, right, yep, I've got capacity, give me more, as opposed to I've got capacity, how can I use it strategically? And
Oh,
it's a massive shift, isn't it? To actually, you know, think it's not being it's not that I'm not working. It's not that I'm slacking off. It's that I'm using time to actually be better what I'm going to do if I can make that space and use it. But it's such a mind shift.
yes.
Um, because we all kind of get off on being busy, right? It's we get into the busyness, and it's sometimes can be a bit of a badge of honor. Um, so
Mm,
it is a really big change to
yeah.
shift into this the recognizing the importance of that time, that thinking space.
Absolutely. And, the other thing that comes up in relation to that is, how much responsibility am I taking versus how much am I giving? And I think one of the traps that leaders fall into is, I've got this, I've got time and space. How can I help you? As opposed to, I've got time and space. How can I support my manager and help to evolve the business? Is that we become really responsible for other people's stuff, and it's stuff that we
Yeah.
shouldn't be. As like, forget about our role in an organization. We're dealing with adults. So let's actually let them own their stuff. And when we don't let people own their stuff, you then create this learned helplessness, which then has this compounding impact across so many areas, people, task, everything.
I think yeah, that's actually a really good point. I think inherently, and if I look at the contact center environment, it's an environment filled with pleasers. They want to help customers first if they've transitioned through the environment. They want to help others. They want to help the team. But it's a really dangerous position to think actually getting to know my people and supporting my people means doing it for my people. Actually, empowering your people to be amazing is the biggest gift you can actually give the leader, and it's the most powerful thing that you can actually leave your people with. So yeah, I like that that focus on making sure you don't actually get caught in that, over helping almost, or over involving yourself in their challenges and giving them answers to everything. It's actually not about as a leader, is it?
It's really not.
And so what do you see when people come out of it? So they do this program with you, they kind of get, obviously they're going to have different points of, oh my God, okay, I get it throughout the program. Um, how do they sort of come out the other end? Is there a visible mind shift that you see
Mm,
in where they started? And let's face it, most people that come into this are already in leadership roles. They're doing good jobs.
mm.
They've kind of, been in roles with responsibility often for quite some time. Um, it's would be interesting, I'm imagining, to sort of see where and how they feel about the program and their role. Do they feel about their role a bit differently when they
Mm.
finish it? What do you see?
I think the biggest thing people come away with when they engage in the program is this intentionality. So whatever it is I'm doing, be there, be fully present, be fully on. And I talk through content, and I send everyone a copy of the Dynamic Leader book that can give them depth if they're wanting that. But really, what I'm demonstrating in these virtual sessions is practice. And if you're going to choose to be here, and I do this with all of my programs, is if you're going to choose to be here, be all here, camera on, give me your attention, limit your distractions. And I'm saying that in a really kind way, but so many leaders kind of take that as going, wow, I love the way that you actually just created this really nice collaborative inclusive space where everybody was part of it. And I will ask people, if they don't kind of show up with their camera on, or I can see that they're distracted, I'll ask them if this is the place that they want to be right now, and to make a choice. And I'm not saying it with any other intention, but just be kinder to yourself and stop putting so much pressure on to have to do everything for everyone. And when they learn the basics of that around being intentional and making those decisions, that just ripples across what they do back in their work.
Amazing. Because I think we hear a lot about being present, about mindfulness, intent, but it actually requires practice.
Mhm.
It is like a muscle that needs to continuously be flexed. But I think, as you say, once people kind of grasp it, it's an incredibly liberating, concept. And I'm with you. I think it does make a huge difference. I think where I've seen a real impact is where you see the flow onto the people around leaders who actually get this. Um, and it's not about it's about people feeling valued because you are present, you are actively actually invested in them. That doesn't mean you do everything for them, but you're invested in understanding them. And to see how people then flourish is quite amazing. So I know we've heard lots of testimonials from people that have done the dynamic tutelage, and it's why we keep it going, right? It's I know at Auscontact we've done it for a long time, and it's always one of those programs that people are like, oh, I still remember doing it, and I've encouraged others to do it. So clearly those fundamentals are then making a real difference back in organizations. So I love
Yeah,
seeing that.
it's my favorite program. It's my baby.
Amazing. Well, I'm happy that we continue to run the course and continue to see great take up of it. Obviously, it's hitting the mark, and yeah, it continues to foster that next group of leaders. I think we were talking earlier, Shelley, about sometimes it can be a bit depressing when you think, gosh, we're always training the same stuff or doing the same sort of things, and I say to you, you'll never be out of work because there's so much needed in this leadership focused space that I see in the environment. But actually, the exciting thing is that people are recognizing the importance of this within organizations and actually pushing their people to be a part of it. So I think you should be really proud of the impact that your course is actually having. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about what the next year ahead is going to look like with it. So I'm looking forward to all the people who are interested in joining to join.
Super exciting. Can't wait to see.
Thanks.